some really, really talented guys out there. Some of them are impact freshmen.
An actual coach called him and he says, "Yeah, I got a couple players. There's one that's ready to go." It's almost like a it's almost like a movie, man. Because I got one ready to go. Body's nice, mind is good, good kid. It's a real cool thing that what you're doing, like behind the scenes, me seeing that.
Yeah.
No, that's sick. We like, yo, I gotta take this call as a coach. You can't see
Whenever coaches call, you got to take that call, man.
That call,
Because if they don't get you, they'll never call back because they'll move on to someone else. And someone else is going to have some guy that they're going to pitch and present to the coach. So you got to make sure that the guys in your AAU program, the guys in your prep school, the guys in Canada, you gotta work for them and try to help them out.
Man, you're talking about extraordinary, you're talking about pioneer, you're talking about legends. He was building his own system before there was a system. Now there's a lot of elite players coming out of Canada and actually making a living from it. A guy who's truly done it and seen it from all levels. Ro, thank you so much.
How you doing? This whole journey has kept me young, kept me vibrant, in mentally and just making me keep it going. Even though I've had some different challenges and different things, I brushed them off. I got God on my side, and so with that confidence, then anything else is nothing to me.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. Just another day, and as you saw me earlier, man, you're on the phones, man.
Yeah,
you're working for these guys. Working it.
So let's jump into this, man. There was no blueprint you had, like back in, I think you mentioned 1989.
Yeah.
For pathways for Canadian basketball.
Okay.
What did you see in Canadian basketball that nobody else saw?
Well, I guess you have to kind of go back even further.
Oh, nice.
When I was coming up. So obviously before I met you, I was living in this Toronto West area.
Right.
And I was a hockey player because when I came from Jamaica, from Toronto, from Jamaica, I lived in the Dufferin, St. Clair area. And everybody, I was the only black kid around that area, and everybody played hockey. It wasn't for me. It was cool. It was tough. It was, skill-based.
Yeah.
I just needed something more that I can associate myself with the people I played with because I was always a minority in that sport.
Okay.
And that led me to basketball. My parents split. I was in a single-parent family. I wanted to help my mom out by getting a scholarship to go to university.
Wow.
So then that was my mindset is I got to help my mom out by building my game up that much that I can get a scholarship. And I eventually did. I went Division II. Division I was super hard like how it is now, even harder than it is now to go D1.
Right.
I was thinking like, hey, now I know how to do it because I did it. Let me go help the next group.
Nice. So that's the blueprint. That's the blueprint.
Yeah.
Yes, that's amazing, brother. So when you started building this, were people reaching out to you? Were people saying, I want to be part of this? Or were you seen as like, what is this guy trying to do?
I saw both because it was new. So people were like, what's this guy up to? What's he really trying to do? What is his motive? What's he trying to get out of it? And then other people say, hey, you got there, help me. I see your passion.
So where were you going first when you're trying to pitch this and say, this is my idea? Were you going to like coaches or were you just doing it yourself?
I was just doing it myself, and I go to community centers and I see kids at different community centers and the playgrounds outside, their high school games and watch them and speaking to them. Everybody was all, yeah, for sure. They were like looking for something else because they wanted a scholarship. They wanted to go bigger and better because now on the Saturdays and Sundays, they were watching the March Madness and the Final Four. So they wanted to be part of that. So if someone comes along that's saying, I can help you to get there, they're going to listen. Their high school coaches and their systems weren't predicated. It was all predicated to stay in Canada, which is fine.
Right.
But they wanted more options.
Did you know about AAU? Like, how did you go through that yourself?
No, I didn't go through it at all because it wasn't really AAU. And what happened was I'd go to New York City where my cousin lived in the summer times when I was coming up. And then a lot of times I'd go with him to his AAU tournaments and games and stuff.
Okay.
And then that kind of enlightened me about, that's how it works. Okay, this is what it is. So when I came back, I say, let me start the same thing that my cousin is into in New York City, and that's how it took off from there.
So you really got the hands-on.
Yeah, exactly.
Brought it back to Canada, so you saw the need.
Yeah, because we needed something to reach for. okay, I'll go to York, or I'll go to Guelph, or I'll go to McMaster, which are they're great universities, but you want people to reach further, reach to the stars.
Right.
That's going to make them better. That's going to make them forget about all their influences and distractions and focus and everything, and take care of their academics and be good kids and be good people. That carrot was a great thing, a tool that's going to make them reach for the stars.
Somebody listening right now feels misunderstood. How do you know they're wrong, or this is the way they just have to go?
Yes, I'm a born again Christian. I read the Bible all the time, and I'll never be like Jesus Christ ever in my life. But you always strive. He says if you're a disciple of Christ, you have to try to mimic him and do what he did. He was here to save the world, and they killed him. That's the kind of mentality I had, that if I know something is the right way to do and different challenges and obstacles, if I'm strong with that, I'm going to find a way to get through it and figure it out. If you feel that you should go Division I and you can do and you want to do, then don't let no one stop you. You got to fight everything. As long as you do the right thing, work hard and take care of your academics and work over and above everybody, have that Kobe Bryant mentality, then that's the way to go.
But you have no funding, no money, no like institutional help. So how did you continue?
The way I continued was because back in those days, it was all predicated for hockey.
Right.
Hockey, you can get sponsorship at a local restaurant or the bank or corporate.
Right.
But not for basketball, because now that was before the Raptors.
Oh, this is before the Raptors.
Raptors was 89.
89.
So in the early 90s, you just have to fund it yourself.
Right.
So I was working full time when I was in a school. I was going to school, and then I used to work at the airport. I was in TSA worker at the airport. So I just had to, hey, I'm going to set aside this little savings, and if I got to bring kids and help them out and pay for stuff, I got to do it to try to get to that point where it could be a little bit easier for me and them. Got into a van, and you took a bunch of guys down, and you went to tournaments and games, and they did well.
Right.
And now everybody now is saying, hey, there's players in Canada. I didn't know that. I thought it was all hockey players.
Wow.
I didn't know there's black people in Canada.
Wow. You actually get in those arguments.
That's the arguments they're saying, and they didn't know
goodness.
that. And then now they're helping. Go and do this.
Right.
This is what we do in America. This is how we raise money. And then they hooked me up with Nike at first back in the late 90s. And George Ravlin, who was the director of Nike, came up to Canada, and he saw all the guys that we had. Then he sponsored me. And then
nice.
we lifted off from there. Now here comes Adidas, Sonny Vaccaro. He sponsored me. So then I made a change from Nike to Adidas because it was like tenfold more. Now, 25 years later, I'm back to Nike.
Oh, okay. Now you're doing, I guess it's Grassroots.
Yeah,
Grassroots. So that's the name that stuck from the 90s.
Yeah, well, first it was Toronto Elite because you're just thinking of the guys in Toronto.
Okay.
And then as it got bigger, here comes some kids from Montreal. Here comes some kids from Calgary, from BC, from Halifax that found out. So now you change the name to Grassroots Elite Canada.
Oh, nice.
And now we just do Grassroots Elite. Because now I get kids from America, I get kids from all over the world.
Was there ever a moment in between that time when you're like, man, I can't do it?
Yeah, there was a small time, few days that with all the difficulties of raising money and getting in gyms and getting on the road. I probably traveled to America about at least 1,000 times, just grinding and hustling and convincing coaches to take your players and dealing with parents and having people out there, media and different places who don't understand what you're doing and thinking you're doing it for yourself. I had a lot of times I could have got D1 college jobs. I could have been an agent. I could have did other things. And I stuck with it to this day. And other people have come along and they went and been agents and they were college coaches. And I kept with it. And then so I was totally misunderstood. I think if I was a different, I don't want to say it, but if a different skin tone, I think I would have been welcome.
And it's also part of the path, especially being a pioneer.
Yes.
In a system that invented the sport.
Yes.
And you're coming in as a pioneer outside of Canada with thoughts of like, this is how they do it in America. No, we don't want to do it in America. How do we do it in America?
Exactly, because every level of basketball, I went against the grain. I started to send guys to prep schools in the 90s.
Right.
And now that's against the high school coaches here. And now their best players are going to America.
Right. Oh, hold on there for 1 second. Before we even jump into that, because that gets a little bit like even better. So doing this, what was one of the signs that said, yo, I found my passion? There must have been a moment that made you realize you're on the right path, you know?
I guess there's 2 things that made me say that I'm onto something. I think this is my ministry, my goal, my something I'm going to stay with. So one of them was both George Ravlin and Sonny Vaccaro, who are 2 of the biggest basketball icons in the world in terms of AAU basketball.
Oh, wow.
One with Nike and one with Adidas, and they both called me in the late 90s. They both called me to say, hey, we'd like to bring you into the Nike family and the Adidas family.
Oh, amazing.
So that made me say, hey, I must have something that these guys want, because they don't just,
Wow.
I mean, so that made me know that there's potential for pros to be out there. One of my parents called me and she was profusely crying on the phone and thanking me so much when I got my first ever person to Division I. They were on the phone for like almost an hour. You totally saved my son's life. You changed his life. And
I'm feeling chills right now.
I feel good about this, and I'm doing something to impact. When I was younger, my mom always said, bro, don't just be a regular guy that comes around and moves up the ladder and goes through life and has a job and has a family and just goes old and that's it. No one knows who you are. Try to impact your community, your city, your country, and the world. My mom always told me that when I was younger, so that was always on my mind to say, I'm not just going to be a regular guy that comes through. I mean, people are going to know who I am and what I've done and how I helped them.
Nice.
And that call from that mother made me say, okay, I'm actually doing that.
That's amazing, brother. Oh, man, that was powerful. Now you're in high school. Like, how did that system even start?
I had originally in 2000, early 2000, started the prep school model out of Falstaff Community Center.
And how did you get this model? Is the same model you designed?
I designed it.
Oh, nice.
Because a lot of the feedback I was getting from my players who were playing AU for me, they were going to the different high schools and they weren't getting exposure. So from September to March, no colleges came. Sometimes not even a Canadian school came to their gym. And their coaches didn't know how to do it, how to contact them and know how it works to help them get exposure. Because they don't want to just play their years of high school and then have to fan for themselves. They want to develop, have drill work and have a system where they're developing their ball handling, they're shooting their body. Most of the teachers were just guys that either played a little bit or loved the game, and they were geography teachers, math teachers, gym teachers, and they just threw the balls out and say, okay, you look like the best player, you guys start. And now you played. There was no development and there was no opportunities. They weren't going to the States. They weren't going to multiple tournaments. That made me say, you know what? I'm going to develop my own independent personal program where the guys still get an academic opportunity where they can graduate, get their grades, as well as practice and learn the fundamentals, develop their game, and we're going to travel to the States and play. We're grinding in the gym every day at small Falstaff Community Center. A parent seen what I was doing, and then he contacted a really close friend of mine. His name is Patrick Shaw, who's one of my ride or die guys from day one, my day one.
Oh, nice.
And
big up Patrick.
Yeah, big time.
Totally is his brother.
Exactly. and they approached us and we had a meeting about it. He had a prestigious private school that had funding and they want to change the narrative because they're always the worst team in the league. So then we went over there. Myself, I brought Marlo Davis, and then we just started to change the whole program. And the good thing is I already had the model from doing my original prep school program called TAPS, and I just implemented it there. And then I lifted off, and then we won championships, and guys went.
Oh, that's amazing!
And the whole nine.
But that shows the strength of collaboration. The fact that even Pat seeing something in what you're doing, to now even see the vision that's bigger than just the Falstaff gym. But let's say somebody's watching this right now, and they're like, look at Ro, man. I love how he got to that level in terms of his confidence and behind the scenes. And you kept it humble. What would you say to them that has that passion and that dream, but they're still uncertain about putting it out there.
My advice to people out there, young people that have a dream and a goal that they want to accomplish something and get somewhere and do something new, or for me, is you got to have that inner strength. For me, it came from my faith in God. It came from my family, and it came from my passion. And this sport could change someone's life. That little round orange ball could do so much things that if I totally buy into it, you have to have the inner strength, you have to have that passion, and you have to work with people. For me, my wife was this great, this wonderful, how she stuck with me through thick and thin. My older sister just did everything to help out the project. My mom was great supporter. Your family has to be involved with it. And then you have to have great friends and mentors. I've had a lot of great mentors over the decades that have made me switch and pivot to this way and do it better over here and see what's going on and help me with it. It takes a village to accomplish your goals and your dream.
That's amazing, man. Congrats on a lot of that work. So everything's going great. And then there's a disruptive nature that comes in, like a negative that comes in. Out of nowhere. Like these people are mislabeling you now. They're questioning the program. How did you take on that moment when all that was going on?
I'm a really studious guy. I love to dive in and learn, and I read the whole story of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and Marcus Garvey and Jesus and all those guys. They either got killed or they're in prison or people came against them. I expected that. So when shots were fired against me, then I knew that as long as I was doing the right thing, it's going to bounce off me. I'm going to keep on moving. And so it's made me stronger and it's made you a lot more aware of your surroundings, that not all the time that you do great things, people are going to buy into it and praise you. And so you have to expect that not everyone's going to love what you do. But the great thing is now, all the things that I did, the system is doing it. All the things that they were trying to vilify me against me, they're all doing it now.
So what do people still get wrong about who you are now?
The other day I was talking to a parent. He's like, man, you're so brash and sometimes you got to deal with some guys in different ways. And said, no, I have a blanket way. This is the way. If you want to get there, this is how you have to be. There's no two ways about it. Modify your whole, and customize your thinking and get through that little hole. That little hole, everyone has to get through that hole the same way. You have to squeeze through. I'm not going to dance around it. And no, this is how you get to it. So sometimes I am direct and real, and some people don't like that. They want me to try to tippy toe and paint a nice picture, and I can't do that.
And of course, we know reality of scholarships are not easy. What are the hidden costs that players and families still face, even though they get a scholarship?
Okay, well, there's two things about it. You can either stay in Canada and play youth sports or OCAA. Outside Ontario, you can actually get a full scholarship. There's different programs that will give you a full scholarship. It's kind of piecemeal in Canada.
As a Canadian, do they pay more if they have to go to the U.S. on a scholarship?
No, if you go Division I, they'll pay for tuition, room, board, books, and fees. So the only thing you pay is to travel back and forth and other incidental fees. But nowadays, as you know, it's called cost of attendance. So they'll pay you for travel back and forth for certain expenses that you incur during the year if you're outside America.
So these guys are learning how to put their taxes together.
Exactly. The advent of NIL, different entities that are close to the schools, like boosters and alumni. Now they'll make a deal with you to say, hey, promote my company, and I'll give you X amount of money for the elite development, the elite exposure, and the preparation basketball wise. You got to pay so much more cost to get to that scholarship in terms of prep, AAU, training, and all that stuff, to have a chance to get a D1 scholarship, because right now it's less than 1% that get D1 scholarship, and you have to pay for that less than 1% chance.
Wow. So with the new age of this NIL money, boy, I could be doing nice at 19 with $500,000. How does the NIL impact Canadian players?
Well, at first, it was new to Canadian players and new to universities about having Canadians or international players. So because you're Canadian and you have to be American to get that money, because the tax rules and everything. I figured out a loophole where as long as you step on Canadian soil, go back home, cross the border, now they can put that money in your bank. Now they can give you that check because now you're not paying towards American taxes. You're back in Canada.
So you really look deep into the system, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
way.
Oh, that's amazing, brother.
Wherever there's a will, there's a way. And now they added another thing called revenue sharing.
Right.
Because now the universities themselves control the narrative. Before, it was an outside collective that they were doing it.
Okay.
Then the university said, no, we want to control all
they're getting part of the $500,000.
Yeah, exactly.
This is like a label deal.
The NCAA and the colleges, they want older players. They're more mature, responsible. They know what they want. They know what it is. And they don't have to babysit them anymore. They now have developmental spots in D1 schools that you go in there knowing that you're not going to play your first or second year.
My goodness.
You know what I mean? And now you have to learn and grow and develop and mature. And you know that going into it.
So what do you think? Canadian players should stay in Canada because it seems like there's little pipelines for them to get the European pro? Or should they just try to follow this D1 dream?
So I feel that kids should have options. And they should try options and see, could I go straight to Division I? If that doesn't happen, it's okay. Because youth sports level has gotten better. They sometimes have, in August, international tours where D1 schools come up and they play D1 schools. Sometimes they go down and play exhibition games against D1 schools. And then also they now, after 3 years or so, they can transfer to Division Ones because now they're more mature, they're ready. You've seen a pipeline of kids going from youth sports to Division One.
Oh, nice.
You've also seen some kids go from OCAA or CCAA to Division One.
Yes. Okay.
So it's all good now.
Do you ever just look at an individual coming in and financially, let's say your organization is $5,500 to sign up for the year, and you look at them and you're like, they're not going to make it, but do you like turn them down or do you just take it because financially they're paying this money?
No, we do have standards. There's other levels you could go to. You can go to JUCO, you can go to D2, you can go to youth sports and then go D1 from there. But you meet with the parents and the kids and you let them know straight up what it is, that you can get better from AAU.
Right.
Because you may start out at a level where you have no chance and then by the end of it, you're going. Like, for instance, I had a kid that had no chance in the universe to go Division One. But even his parents, even himself said they're going to go youth sports because you're like, I'm not going D1.
Right.
But because of what AU did for them and what I did for them marketing-wise and development in AU, the kid ended up going to a high major Division One and breaking all the records at that school.
Wow.
AU is the machine that really drives you to that level.
So all these players that you've seen made it in Canada or made it to the level, like, what was their mindset? Like, what did you see in their mindset, or what was the mindset that you helped them with?
The first thing that talking to kids out there that they have goals and dreams of getting Division One, getting to the NBA, you have to have that no matter what, regardless mentality. I'll fight through any obstacle out there because I want it so much. First thing. The two other important things that kids need, they need to have that skill of listening and applying what they've heard. A lot of kids don't do that.
So isn't that part of the coaches to apply it?
You yourself have to listen to someone, buy in to that person, and take what they said and apply it. The second thing that I've seen that has helped guys to go Division One and even the NBA, guys that are the best thinkers, guys who just think on a dime and think, okay, I'll do this, but I got to know that if I do this, this may not work, and you got to be constantly thinking.
The Canadian basketball system, how did they feel about you at that time when all this stuff is going on? And how do they look at you now?
The Canadian system looked at me as a rogue guy that's trying to fight the system rather than work with it.
Right.
And doing his own thing and not trying to be under their auspices. And now I advise for them. I advise for the systems. I have alumni that play and coach and direct in those systems now. So now we're collaborating and working together to help for the better good. It's come full circle. but there was a time that we're butting heads and we're at odds with each other. And so it's a great feeling that they were able to see the light and see that why I was going so hard at it that way.
Right.
You know?
Good on Canadian basketball too, like for just accepting and seeing like somebody has visions about this sport. But yeah, you know what I mean? So I got to give Rohan, I got that whole system the nod now, you know what I mean? But thanking to you.
I used it to motivate me and get stronger from it and do more, knowing that there's something there they're trying to hold me back from.
So how do people get a hold of you, brother?
Well, the best way to get a hold of me is through Instagram in terms of Coach Ro Russell.
Nice.
At Coach Ro Russell. Then my AU program, Grassroots Elite, is on Instagram as well. I started at 13 and now I'm 57. So I've been doing it for a long time in this basketball world. So I want to give as much as I could that I was given by so much people that mentored me and helped me out coming up the scenes. I want to give shout out to all those people that work with me, that were in the trenches with me, guys like Huggy, and obviously I mentioned Patrick Shaw before, DJ Joseph.
That's amazing. And it's very unique because I have my experience in meeting you. It's not like, you know, I've seen you around or you're coaching my kids or something. It's like I actually worked with you.
Yeah, we go way back.
You know, this
back in the days before balling and scripting.
You know,
it's great to see that you're doing great and you're doing great things. So now we're in the same boat now.
Now we collaborate and make it bigger. Thank you so much for coming on, brother.
No problem.
Just remember, like and subscribe. This man designed his own system. Then that became the system. I quit my job with Coach Ro Russell. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
I appreciate it.